Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing and remove your hats to honor America and those who support our freedom at home and abroad. As the LTU Blue Devils Marching Band plays our national anthem. Veterans and those in active duty may leave their hats on while rendering the military salute. Ladies and gentlemen, the team captains for today's contest are as following. For your Blue Devils, Drake Berry, Spencer Iaquinto, Tyler Kolka, and Danny Max. And for visiting Wisconsin Lutheran, Zach Brew, Logan Keel, Dan DeYoung, and Jody Stisinski. Ladies and gentlemen, Wisconsin Lutheran has won the coin toss and they have elected to receive. Lawrence Peck will defend the north end zone. The Blue Devils are led by head coach Jeff Duveneck in his second season with LTU. Wisconsin Lutheran's head man, Dennis Miller.
Welcome into LTSN, another edition of Blue Devil football. We know by the end of the day, one team will pick up their first win. The question is, who will that be? Wisconsin Lutheran in town. These teams meeting up for a second year in a row. The Blue Devils pulled off a thrilling comeback in Wisconsin last season. This week, it's all about a better start. Wisconsin Lutheran has won the toss and elected to receive. Sam Boone will take this one at his own 8. Gets to the 20, and he's wrapped up and brought down over in front of the Wisconsin Lutheran bench, led by head coach Dr. Dennis Miller, now in his 20th season. Jeff Duveneck on the other side will try to pick up his first win in the modern era and as a part of the Mid-States Football Association. Jason Ross Jr. alongside Chase Kaufman. Chase, pleasure to be with you. This feels like a big one in week 2. You never want to start off 0-2.
For sure, and that's what both teams are going for here. Both teams off to an 0-1 start. LTU lost last week, obviously 45-13. Wisconsin Lutheran also coming in with a loss. Both teams trying to make themselves 1-1.
Well, Nick Yockey and this Wisconsin Lutheran offense, a 15-point performance last week. They'll start off at their own 24. They go to the ground game. It's Alan Jackson stutter-stepping his way forward for a significant gain on first down.
Pretty balanced attack for Wisconsin Lutheran. They got a quarterback that can pass and run if need be. Also a running back that pretty much led the way last week even though they lost. So a pretty balanced attack. You're going to have to be ready on both ends if you're the LTU defense here today.
Well, Nick Yockey from all the way out in Gig Harbor, Washington. Gig Harbor High School, a true freshman in his first road start. They go back to the ground for the second consecutive play. And Alan Jackson gets taken down after a short gain. Looked like he picked up about 1 prior to being taken down by Glasker the third. That sets up 3rd and 4 for this Wisconsin Lutheran offense. Got off to a relatively slow start a week ago. Glasker, or Yockey rather, hit 8 different receivers last week. Won the QB competition over Anthony Munoz, another freshman from out west. They go to the air for the first time. Looking that time for Javion Morgan, but the pass is broken up by Chris Broughton, who had a sensational start last week as a freshman. He was one of the bright spots in the 45-13 loss at the hands of St. Xavier for the Blue Devils. That brings up a 3-and-out situation in the first punt of the day.
Nice
Michael Ignazic going back to punt, doubling as a defensive back and punter.
Good start for the LTU defense there, getting them out early, and that's what we were talking about pregame, Jason. Getting off to a good start, and obviously a good start there.
Apologies if I cut you off there, Chase. Couldn't quite hear you in the mic. That punt will roll down just inside the 30 at the 26-yard line of Lawrence Tech. That's where Tyler Kolka and this Blue Devil offense will make their first appearance. Tyler Kolka, the sophomore quarterback and captain from Clinton Township, Michigan. Interesting story. He's such a cool personality. He's a leader. He's vocal. He's competitive, as Coach Duveneck told us yesterday. He was under a lot of pressure last week, though. So one of the things we're looking at early on, Chase, is can this offensive line hold up against the Wisconsin Lutheran
And they really should be able to a little bit more this week. Last week they played St. Xavier. who averages 4 sacks a game in the NAIA. This team, Wisconsin Lutheran, in Division III NCAA, they're only averaging 1.6 sacks per game, so I think the offensive line will have a bit of an easier task this week and give Tyler a little bit more time to throw.
Ty Castillo brought down Ahmad Sabah there, one of Tyler Kolka's fellow captains. And Sabah, after the game last week, told me that he felt the line of scrimmage started to get a better push in the second half. We noticed that. So can they pick up where they left off? They're at their own 30 here. They go to a screen pass. It's Hinton. The freshman gets wrapped up, met promptly by Ignazik. And he might have took him down just back at the line of scrimmage. I think he lost about 2 there. Michael Ignazik, who we just saw punting less than a few minutes ago, gets out right back on defense, and he's one of the key parts of this Wisconsin Lutheran defensive effort.
Yeah, he read that screen right away, nowhere to go for the LTU offense. And an early 3-and-out chance here for Wisconsin Lutheran, trying to do exactly what LTU did to them. A couple of quick possessions on each side, it may be.
Kolka to the air, but flags go flying as the ball was snapped. Looks like we're going to get a false start.
And that's another thing, Jason. The discipline has got to be there today for the Blue Devils. 94 penalty yards last week, only 8 last week for Wisconsin Lutheran. So Wisconsin a little bit more disciplined last week in their loss than LTU was last week in their loss. And we saw it cost them a couple drives here and there and just totally killed some momentum. So they got to be disciplined here. Not off to a great start.
Last season as well, something they were looking to improve on. Kolka able to slip the initial pressure. Looking downfield, has Nick Spawn at midfield.
That's what happens when Kolka has time. The routes they can develop, defensive backs can lose their guys that easily. And as Kolka made a couple guys miss in the backfield there, he found him for a nice 20-yard gain on 3rd and 14. So good start for this LTU offense.
It was something already that we didn't see a lot of in the first half. It's an excellent throw from the composed Tyler Kolka. It's one of his really bright spots in his game, his accuracy, ability to throw on the run. They go to Sabah, bounces off the first contact. He'll pick up just 1 yard here as he gets brought down by Devontae Jones, the Vero Beach, Florida native, one of 2 Floridians on the roster, just one on the defense from the coast of Central Florida. But the Blue Devils do make their way inside of Warrior territory for the first time today. They'll run that pro-style offense. It can be methodical, but that's what they want to get. They want to establish the passing game by getting the running game going first. Kolka hit from behind, and the ball is loose. Trying to pounce on it is James Thorpe, and luckily he's able to back at his own 40.
Yeah, Wisconsin brought a couple extra rushers there. Kolka didn't really have much time around that left edge. You couldn't see him coming. Luckily, offensive lineman there to clean up that play. They had 3 wide receivers out, only 1 safety up top with the 2 wide receivers. If he would have looked that way, I think someone might have been open on a quick cut route. But obviously, with that much time, nothing much you can do there.
That brings up 3rd and 15. Back at their own 41 after they were just inside of Wisconsin Lutheran territory.
Lutheran
they converted
on the now.
Yeah, they converted on the last 3rd and long. This time over the middle looking for Hinton. That clips off the hands, that time of Tony Orlando, and almost fell fortuitously over to Matt Baker. Blue Devils are lucky to not turn the ball over on that possession.
For sure, just an errant pass there. Not much there for Kolka. Lucky that's not picked off, and after a nice 3rd down conversion to start out the drive, they can't get much going on the second series. Or on the second downs, rather.
Now on 4th down, it'll be Fox back to punt, and Gabe Luce. That one is blocked. Looking to pick it up here is Devontae Jones. It rolls out. They're going to say Castillo got a piece of it, And it'll be Wisconsin Lutheran ball at the Blue Devil 27.
It looked like somebody just missed a block on the outside. Simple as that. Fox really had no time to get it off. He got it off just like how he normally does, and that was easily blocked. You can see him just coming right from that right side or the left side on the offense.
Yeah, there were some close ones last week. So not the start that the Blue Devils wanted. It felt like a reversal of fortunes kind of gradually over the last few plays rather, and then it just built up to a blocked punt. So back out comes Nick Yockey with the best field position to start off a drive that he's seen so far this season. They go to the air, and he has his man over on the near sideline. It's Marquise Davis.
Blue Devils rush 6 there, but Yockey able to get the quick curl route on the outside, and those are the kind of routes you want to get when you know they're rushing 6. Make sure you have some of those quick routes out there, and a nice play, gain of 6 for Wisconsin Lutheran.
Able to pick up 6 yards on that first down throw. That sets up 2nd and 4. They really have confidence in this passing game. This time, they fake it to the sweep and go back to Alan Jackson, and he is stacked up at the line of scrimmage.
LTU rushed 5 on that one, found a couple of holes, and now they're looking to get another 3rd down stop here early, possibly even get him to lose a couple more yards, get that field goal kicker almost out of range. Right now, it'd be a 40-yarder, which is a little ahead of the fringe, if you will, for collegiate kickers. Coach Duvendeck said they'd mostly be in a 4-3 for the most part of the game, unless obviously some things change. If the defensive backs can't hold their ground or the defensive tackles and ends can't hold their ground, then he would possibly switch it up.
Yockey looking over the middle. Now he'll just tuck it. And picks up about 3 yards there. It's going to be close. They will mark it as a 4th down and about 1.5 yards here.
It'll be an interesting call here. See what they do, just to see if they want to set that tone of the game, go for it on 4th and 1, and it looks like they will. 4 wide receivers spread out. And Yockey on the quarterback. Keeper, he's not going to get it.
So Wisconsin Lutheran gets aggressive early, and they won't get any points out of this trip inside of the Blue Devil 30. So Lawrence Tech, after having that punt blocked, able to come up big defensively.
Really interesting play there. They had 4 wide receivers set out, 2 on each side, but then they opt just for the QB keeper or the quarterback sneak. So, I don't know. I'm not sure if I agree with that play call there to send 4 wide receivers out and then only 5 guys on the line. Interesting play call there. I feel like if you're going to send 4 guys out, you might as well give it to your running back, the guy who's there for it. And if you're going to do the quarterback sneak, which I love, always got to do that on Madden, then you might as well bring in an extra couple tight ends.
Here's a big hole for Tanner Foley. It's a 1st down gain out to the 34.
Those are the runs that seems have been successful for the Blue Devils so far this week and last week. The runs off the middle, runs in the outside, they didn't get much going on. But here early, you saw that run there. Nice gain from Foley up the middle.
Tanner Foley was a captain last season. He was the #1 tailback in the rotation. Blue Devils are really mixing in their 3-back rotation. They have Makai Otero in there now. Once again, they like to establish this ground game early. Otero, who put in a lot of work in the summer, able to pirouette his way just up to the 39 and shy of the 40-yard line.
Another nice inside the tackles run there by the Blue Devils. Offensive line doing a pretty good job so far creating those holes on the run blocking. Liking what I'm seeing so far.
There's one thing we were certainly looking for coming into this one was the battle of the line of scrimmage right away. This is a Wisconsin Lutheran defense that gave up 36 points per game a season ago. As Hinton makes the catch, it'll be shy of a 1st down.
Devontae Jones there on the tackle. Read it. Pass came in just a little bit late. Jones was able to pick up that route pretty simply. Now the Blue Devils are looking at 3rd and what appears to be 1.
Now, one thing we noticed on film was that these Wisconsin Lutheran DBs tackle very well in space. Up comes another big battle when it comes to the line of scrimmage. Favoring Lawrence Tech in the early goings, but they've had some self-inflicted mistakes. They have McCoy in. They'll run it to his side. Foley gets a block and gets a first down.
Again, another nice run inside the tackles. Offensive line doing a much better job so far this week than they did early last week on creating those holes.
They bring Chris McCoy in, the 6'5" junior tight end. He's a big target, but they'll most likely bring him in situationally for plays just like that. Works out to perfection there. And Tyler Kolk and the Blue Devils hoping to make their second venture into Wisconsin Lutheran territory. This is about where Kolk was hit that led to the loss of yardage last time around. They go to the air, looks for Spawn, finds Hinton, though. It's a big burst for Derek Hinton, galloping inside the 20 to the 15. Derek Hinton's second career touchdown.
Nice little dig route from Hinton there, and he only had one man to beat. No safeties over the top for him. And as he got away from them, spun on a dime and into the end zone.
It's a 51-yard reception for a touchdown. Derek Hinton, freshman from Farmington, Michigan. Spoke to Coach about him yesterday. He put in a lot of work with this group in the summer. Really looked focused the other day on campus, Avondale High School. He's a local kid, so that kind of gave him an advantage in the summer, getting him to stick around. And it bodes well early on for the Blue Devils. As Gibson, last week's MSFA Mid-East League Special Teams Player of the Week, splits the uprights, and it's a 7-0 Blue Devil lead.
Low snap there, able to get it off, though. And this is the early start we wanted, Jason. We told you guys beforehand, whoever can get off to an early start here is most likely going to have the momentum. And the Blue Devils defense and offense both clicking on all cylinders.
Lawrence Tech did not get off to the start that they wanted to last year against Wisconsin Lutheran. They trailed 22-3 just prior to halftime. Ended up storming back with 27 unanswered points. So the emphasis today, after going down 31-0 last week, had to be to get off to hopefully an auspicious start. And they've done that. Offensively, they look much better in this first quarter. On the flip side for Wisconsin Lutheran, trailing again in the early goings. Rough starts have really plagued them over the past couple of seasons, off to yet another 0-1 start. Looking to avoid their 4th consecutive 0-2 start today are the Warriors. But find themselves playing catch-up for the second week in a row. This is Gabe Luce, back to return just from his own goal line. He'll make it past the initial contact and squeak his way out to the 24.
Couple returns to the 24 for Wisconsin Lutheran.
So that brings Nick Yaki back out. Hometown of Gig Harbor, Washington is a beautiful sight. Wonderful waterfront views of Mount Rainier. Sits about 20 minutes outside of Tacoma, an hour outside of Seattle. It's a 1,879-mile journey from his hometown to the state of Wisconsin. Came in, had a phenomenal camp, but now finds himself down in his first career road start. He'll flip it out to the flats and has his man. It's Todd Lehman out of the backfield, the senior running back. And he'll pick up 9 on first down. Harvard, Illinois native.
Nice little play there. LTU rushing 4. Linebacker not able to get out and cover the running back there in time. And a nice early first down.
2nd and 1.
Lehman ran track in high school, so he has that speed out of the backfield, and they like to utilize him that way.
2nd and 1, rather, not first down. And there's the discipline we were talking about, Jason.
Yep.
On the defensive line, that's number 44, Will Sturts, coming in early. It's going to be a neutral zone infraction.
went to practice a couple of weeks ago, and execution was one word that was the common theme throughout just about every player we chatted with. So you know it's in their minds. And you know in the second year of this program, it probably hurts more mentally to make mistakes like that when you know it's an emphasis.
For sure, especially when the momentum is on your side. Those are the things. You don't want to give them free first downs like that.
It's a relatively young defensive line. They apply some pressure here. Yaki in trouble, just has to shovel it forward.
It looks like a pass to me.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure the refs are going to come together and talk about this one. It looks like he got it off his sidearm pass. I believe that's what they're going to call. I think it's still, yep, still 2nd and 10 now.
Yep. That was Charlie Riddle and Randall Broom applying the pressure. Defensive line started to emerge in the second half of last week's 45-13 loss for Lawrence Tech. They go back to Lehman on the ground. He gets strapped down, but a flag goes flying in the backfield.
Probably going to be holding LTU rush 5 on that play again, putting a lot of pressure on this offensive line.
Yep, it is in the holding zone.
Will be holding already more penalty yards right now than Wisconsin Lutheran had all week last week. That's the thing. A lot of times penalty yards can be just a disciplined thing, but a lot of times it just comes from pressure. You rush 5 or 6. There's always going to be a time where it's going to be holding. It's just inevitable.
Second and 20.
So that does back them all the way to their own 28. It'll be 2nd and 20. It's an offense that really believes in this passing game. You'll see a lot of 4-receiver sets like this. But you don't want to live or make your living on 2nd and 20. Yaki will go to the air, looks downfield, leaping out to try to make that catch is Javion Morgan. Defended well that time by Christian Clark Broughton. Once again, he comes up big in those one-on-one situations. That sets up 3rd and 20.
A little bit of hand play between the two of them, but some nice coverage there by Clark Broughton, especially when you got 4 guys coming out and rushing a decent amount. They gave Yaki a good amount of time, but Clark Broughton was able to stay on his man the entire time.
Under 4 minutes to go in this opening quarter of play. Derek Hinton, the long touchdown reception is the difference right now. Here's a zipping pass over the middle for Corey Diedrich, but he is met promptly, that time by Ryan Crowley. And the Blue Devils force another punt. Ryan Crowley, the Jackson, Michigan native, kind of injected into a bigger role this season on defense, as most of these players have been. One of the new starting linebackers. Now back to return will be Kendall Williams, the Florida native, back at his own 30. Ignacic lets it go. It's kind of a shank punt. This will take a hop at the 45 down to the 40, and the Blue Devils will have some decent field position here as they try for back-to-back successful offensive sequences.
Yeah, LTU got a little bit of pressure on that punt there, had to get it away quickly. And the hang time was not there, but they got a good bounce to even get it to the 40-yard line. We'll see if LTU can recreate the offense they just had on that last drive. A few runs up the middle got them a lot of yardage and put them in position for that touchdown pass to Derek Hinton on the easy one-on-one route that he was able to beat his man on.
And Tyler Kolka's looked good early, 3 of 4. 83 yards. He's had some nice protection from the O-line. They'll try to protect Tanner Foley this time. Gets past the initial contact for 2 yards on 1st down. Now they'll bring Ahmad Sabah back in. This is an NCAA Division III versus NAIA battle. Wisconsin Lutheran is D3. LTU is NAIA, and for an NAIA school, it's always that extra sense of pride when you take down a D3, D2, or even D1 opponent, as we have seen in the past. They go back to the ground game on second down. Sabaugh able to pick up the first and more. Gets to the 45. The ball comes loose. Desperately trying to pounce on it is Cartwright the third. Sabaugh is down and injured. He was hit hard from behind. Didn't see it coming. The ball rolls out of bounds. Blue Devils is able to keep possession here. But the concern becomes now the health of Ahmad Sabaugh.
Yeah, he got sandwiched a little bit. He had a man on him about to make the tackle, and another defensive back came right in. Got him pretty good.
Well, where they're setting it up, it'll be an 18-yard gain. Sabaugh is up, and that's a good sign for Blue Devil fans. One of the captains for this group. A guy who really improved a lot in the summertime. Had a good off season, and that led to his elevated role this year. Kind of took a hit that he definitely didn't see there. So they bring Makai Otero back in at running back. And they set up at the Wisconsin Lutheran 44. In the opponent's territory for the third time today. Looking over the middle, it's Kendall Williams for a gain of 9 on first down.
Yeah, he looked out for the screen receiver first. Noticed there's a couple guys waiting to make the tackle there. But Kendall Williams was there on his cut route. And able to make it 2nd and 1. Nice 9-yard gain.
That brings up second and a amount of yardage where you can really break out anything in the playbook. They will give it to Foley. He'll run behind Thorpe and pick up a first down. Makes it to the 30-yard line on a gain of 5. The Blue Devils in business with under 60 seconds to go in this opening quarter of play.
Watch for Derek Hinton Jr. He's man on man down at the end.
At the bottom of your screen, that ball thrown over the middle. Kolka was hit as he threw it, looking down the seam.
And those are the matchups you want right there. One of your best wide receivers in Derek Hinton Jr. Man on man with Devontae Jones. And we'll keep an eye on that matchup there for the rest of the day.
Just Kolka's second incompletion. Already 92 yards. A big touchdown throw to Derek Hinton. 51-yard burst. They go back to the ground. Otero. You can see the leg work, how he's able to drive players forward. Did a lot of neat work in the sand in the offseason. Ran a lot of hills. Worked on his lateral footwork and lower body strength in general. Able to move the pile there to set up what will be 3rd and 5.
And it looks like this is going to be the last play of the quarter.
It'll be a big final play of the quarter.
It'll give the Blue Devils a lot of time to think about what they're going to do if they don't convert here.
4 receivers in this formation. They go to the ground again. Foley pirouettes his way for a first down. Gets inside the 15. Couldn't have drawn up a better way to end that first quarter.
For sure. I like that play call there, too, and it kind of sets the tone. I think, happen they not have gotten it, I think Coach Duvendeck probably would have went for it, considering they did run it on 3rd and 5. They'd been passing the ball pretty well, as well as running it. But typically on 3rd and 5 like that, when you know you're not going to go for it on 4th down, you'll typically pass. I like that play call there. Catch Wisconsin Lutheran off guard and end the first quarter on a good note.
Able to get down to the 12. That's where we'll pick it up when we return. It was a 51-yard pitch and catch from Kolka to Hinton. for that second hookup of the season. 7-0 in favor of Lawrence Tech after one quarter of play.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the field Lawrence Tech dance team. They're coached by Lauren Bird and Hannah Diaz. Today, they'll be performing Happier, a routine they learned and competed at the NBA camp in Louisville. Once again, your Blue Devils dance team.
Welcome back to LTSN. Jason Ross Jr. alongside Chase Kaufman. Blue Devils couldn't have dreamt of a better start after trailing 31-0 in the first half last week. Ultimately 38-3 was the lead for St. Xavier at halftime. Now the Blue Devils find themselves at the Wisconsin Lutheran 12. Kolka will look towards the end zone. Hinton once again able to beat Jody Stajinski. Kolka and Hinton, early chemistry between those two. It's 13-zip in favor of Lawrence Tech.
Nice little corner out there run by Hinton. This chemistry we're seeing between the freshman Hinton and Tyler Kolka is something to be reckoned with for the Warriors right now. 2 touchdowns early in the game, only 15 minutes through.
Derek Hinton, we knew he would get thrown into the fire right away, but Chase, I don't know if we would expect this. 3 touchdowns already. He has all of the touchdown receptions for Lawrence Tech this season. Gibson 2 for 2 on extra points. The Blue Devils have flipped the script from last year's start against Wisconsin Lutheran when they trailed 22-3.
Right now, it seems like both those passes have been opened up because the running game is just being so dominant right now. LTU averaging over 5 yards a carry so far.
Derek Hinton creating his own personal highlight reel through the first 2 games of this season. Blue Devils had to move a couple of people from receiver to defensive back due to some losses in the offseason and personnel-wise, and Hinton has stepped right into one of those open receiver positions and made a name for himself.
Brad Gibson into kick for LTU.
Brad Gibson will kick off. Sam Boone back to return at his own 3. Comes up, takes it at the 10. Boone gets met, that time by Crowley, back at his own 15. And the momentum continues for Lawrence Tech in this opening half of play.
LTU special teams doing pretty well right now. Sometimes those special teams plays can just randomly get you one of those 50, 60-yard returns here and there, but 3 returns, none of them past the 25. Good start for the special teams. Don't forget about them.
So Nick Yaki in this passing game, they haven't really been able to get going so far. 2 of 5. They'll start back inside their own 20 here. Ball spotted at the 18.
LTU once again bringing a lot of pressure on that incomplete pass. Rush 6 on that one. I think we're starting to see what kind of game Coach Duvendeck's going to call here.
Well, he told us the level of intensity at practice this week was high. They weren't confused. They weren't over-anxious after last week. It was kind of a relaxed feel. Simultaneously, though, an exuberant energy, and we've seen that so far. They look settled in naturally in this second week, a lot more than they were a week ago. Pressure comes again. That time in the backfield, able to hit Yaki as he threw was Cam Urbanik, a new addition to this linebacking core. Pass intended that time, second time in a row for Marquise Davis. Broaden was all over him, and Broaden's been a tough way to throw to so far for opposing quarterbacks. Southfield A&T alum from right down the street. High school is less than 5 minutes away if the traffic is working for you, and he's one of the local kids that was able to stick around here in the summer and really work on his game. Yaki able to handle a snap, throwing down the seam. That time looking for Javion Morgan, but he was bottled up that time by the coverage of Miles Young.
Morgan wanted a pass interference call, but it looked like it was after the ball was already past him anyways. Another nice 3 and out for this Blue Devils defense. They rush 6 again, staying aggressive, taking advantage of this experienced offensive line of the Warriors. So very rough start, not giving Yaki much time at all, putting pressure on him like we wanted him to, as we talked about in the pregame show.
It's another kind of almost shank punt from Ignazik, and the Blue Devils will set up shop inside of Wisconsin Lutheran territory, just inside of Wisconsin Lutheran territory at their 49.
Yeah, a little bit more hang time there. Not much distance on it, though. And, you know, it's always a good thing when you start inside opponent territory on a drive.
Field position certainly has tilted in favor of Lawrence Tech over the past at least 5-6 minutes of this game, dating back to the end of the first quarter, when the Blue Devils set their offense up at the 12 to begin the second. Kolka to Hinton for the second time today, and it's 14-0. They go to the air immediately. Kolka looks the direction of Hinton, has his man, makes one miss, skips out of bounds for a gain of 9 on first down. Derek Hinton stays hot. Kolka over 100 yards. Now to 113 on the game. That is Hinton's 4th reception, and he already has 2 touchdown catches.
Nice little curl route from Hinton there. Warriors electing not to play press coverage on that throw. And a nice little easy 9-yard reception there for Hinton. Kolka had the time, let the route develop.
You mentioned their reluctancy to play that press coverage. We know the Blue Devil receivers run those comeback routes so well, as Sabal back in the game after an injury scare, able to pick up a first down. Getting to the 37-yard line of Wisconsin Lutheran for a gain of 3, enough to move the sticks. And the Blue Devils continue to move with some really nice momentum.
And they've been rushing the ball really well, but that was one of the few we've seen where they actually rushed outside of the tackles. They only gained 3 on that play. I think right here I'd like to see them go back inside the tackles and show them what they've been doing all game long.
Foley back in the game. He already has 43 yards on the ground. Kolka to the air. Foley swings into the backfield, but they go to Kendall Williams on another comeback route. And I believe he picks up enough for a first down. He did indeed.
Kendall is down on the bottom here. Man on man once again with 3 wide receivers out. Kendall Williams was the guy who had that one-on-one pressure, and he took full advantage of it.
You can see the electricity of Kendall Williams on that route. I mean, just a blur coming back from his cornerback that was defending him there.
And again, he's got man on man. This time on the far side. See if they go back to him or if they decide to run here on first down.
They do go to the ground. It's Foley between the tackles, able to get the 15, able to get the 5, and the end zone.
And again, between the tackles, Jason, this is where we've seen a lot of their rushing yards come away. And Wisconsin Lutheran ranked 230th in rushing defense last year. Shows why they're ranked 230th last year on that play.
A 26-yard run for Tanner Foley. The blocking has been superb in the early goings. Foley's already up to 69 yards on the ground in just 6 carries. They're flung with momentum. There's a certain chemistry to it right now. And it's 20-0. Gibson open attack on and make it 21.
6.6 yards per rush right now for the Blue Devils. And that's including the sack yardage so far. Which is always interesting to me that college counts sack yardage as rushing yardage. But that's for another day.
Chase Foley averaging 11.5 yards on the ground right now per carry.
And most of it's been on those inside runs. His worst run was on the outside when he did get a first down. Only for 3 yards, but did his job.
Coming into the season, we weren't really sure how they would work the running back position. Last year it was similar to this kind of 3-back rotation. They added in a highly touted freshman in Josiah Curry-Fulham. He's injured right now, the Flint native. He could be a part of this perhaps in the future. Right now it looks pretty good. That mix of Foley, Otero, and Sabo. Could vary from game to game. Might not necessarily even consider it to be a number 1 running back in this rotation. Just kind of who's hot. It'll be Gibson to kick off, and Sam Boone back at his own goal line to return. It's a low squibbing punt, picked up and just falling on it at his own 24.
Again, the 24. Third time this game.
Yeah.
Jason, you were mentioning about the rushing yards, really not wondering who's going to get most of the carries. And last week I thought it'd be Saba for the most part, had 19 carries. Second was 9, was Tanner Foley. But now it seems like they're getting a little more balanced rushing attack with all 3 of their running backs this week. It seems to be working so far.
All 3 of the running backs really have a business-like approach to their work ethic as we see this Wisconsin Lutheran team back out on offense. Yaki is just 2 for 8 in the air so far. They go to the ground. It's Allen Jackson with a gaping hole. Flag goes down in the holding zone, though. If it stands, it could be a first down gain, but this might be coming back.
I like that play call there from the Warriors, though, going in for a nice draw. Blue Devils only rushed 4 there. They were able to create a couple of holes there for Allen Jackson just because the linebackers came out after they thought it was a pass play.
So it is indeed a holding penalty. That'll move this drive back to the 19-yard line. It'll be 1st and 20. So the downs will be reset. Blue Devils have entirely flipped the script from last year's matchup against Wisconsin Lutheran when they trailed 22-3 just prior to halftime.
Now we just got to hope it's not the same script.
Yeah.
And they don't come back to take that lead.
Wisconsin Lutheran find themselves behind in the opening half for the 2nd consecutive week. There's a pass that finds Tyree Gamble, one of the 3rd or 4th receiver options for Yaki. They get some of the yardage back, but it'll still be about 2nd and 15 here after a short first down gain.
LTU showing a 4-man rush. Bringing 5, though.
Going down the sideline, he has a man, and it's Corey Diedrich out to the 45 for the biggest Wisconsin Lutheran gain of this opening half.
That was a heck of a catch, too. Good coverage by the Blue Devils there.
26 yards. 26 yards that time on 2nd and 15.
Three guys down low now.
So really the first positive play since the early stages of the first quarter for Wisconsin Lutheran. Yaki back to throw again. That time it slips out of the hands of Gamble. Typically a sure-handed receiver, the junior from Huntsville, Texas. Diminutive receiver at 5'4", but he's lightning quick, although couldn't hold on there. Not the kind of play you want when you're building up momentum.
For sure. LTU brought a little bit of an extra pressure there, but on that in route, the ball was thrown behind him just a little bit, and he couldn't hold on.
2nd and 10 from the 44.
This Wisconsin Lutheran team is led by head coach Dr. Dennis Miller in his 20th season now. This is also a relatively young program. Their first season was back in 2000, so entering their 20th year in program history. They shovel it to Gamble this time as a block set up with Jackson, able to skip his way out of bounds. I believe it's a first down gain. It is. They get inside of Blue Devil territory for the first time this quarter.
I like that play call there by the Warriors, though. They haven't really done much with all the pressure the Blue Devils are bringing. That time they brought 5 right up the middle, but the Warriors bringing it to the outside, letting their wide receivers run a couple routes, get those defensive backs back, and creating a lot of running room for Jackson.
On 1st and 10 from the Blue Devil 44. They go to down the seam and no receiver in the vicinity. It was thrown over towards the direction of Diedrich, but well out of his reach.
Blue Devils rushing 5 there. And the Warriors had a lot of deep routes going there, and Yaki just didn't have enough time. Routes could not develop. Looking now again at 2nd and 10.
Start to the game was an emphasis today for Lawrence Tech. They gave up a 60-yard run on the first offensive play of the game last week for St. Xavier. It was a big burst from Vance McShane. This week it's been a different story. Nick Yaki trying to turn that around. The true freshman making his first start. He gets picked off. This is Crowley back inside of Wisconsin Lutheran territory. Ryan Crowley, the Jackson, Michigan native, in an elevated role this season, comes up with the first interception of the season for Lawrence Tech, and the Blue Devils are right back in business.
Yeah, not a great pass, a little behind the wide receiver there and a little high, forced him to tip it, and Crowley, the man there, to pick that one off.
So that brings Tyler Kolka back out. What has to be a happy Tyler Kolka so far in this first half. 7 of 9 for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns. Was 9 of 27 a week ago, and that was in large part due to the pressure that he faced. Just really didn't have enough time to get the ball off. This time I think they had to call a timeout. Bit of confusion there. We'll take a quick breather, stepping aside with them. After the interception from Ryan Crowley, the Blue Devils set back up at the Wisconsin Lutheran 48. 10:24 to go in the opening half of play. A 21-0 Blue Devil lead.
Where they can participate in internships, part-time employment, and career positions.
Welcome back to LTSN. Tyler Kolka in this Blue Devil offense. It's a 1st and 10 run for Tanner Foley, who has been magnificent in the early goings of this game. Had a big 26-yard touchdown run on the last possession for Lawrence Tech. They've really worked that 3 rotation so far at the running back position. Keith Beckham, the offensive coordinator for Lawrence Tech. Steve Donovan in his 5th season as the defensive coordinator for Wisconsin Lutheran. Both teams in search of their first win. Kolka, room between the tackles for Foley, motoring his way ahead, and he'll pick up a first down. It's a gain of 9 there. 9:40 to go in this second quarter of play. Third consecutive possession for the Blue Devils with the ball inside of Wisconsin Lutheran territory. Field position has really tilted in their favor for a solid 10 minutes now.
Ahmad Sabah, now the tailback, goes out to the flat.
Kolka loses his helmet.
Obvious
and a flag
face mask
goes
there.
down. Yep.
That was a brutal tackle there. You could see that from a mile away.
Well, a 15-yard penalty here would set Lawrence Tech up just outside the red zone.
Really not sure what there is to discuss right now. I mean,
yeah,
it seemed pretty obvious to me. It will be a face mask.
Personal foul. Face mask.
So that'll spot the Blue Devils at the 21 of Wisconsin Lutheran as they continue to roll with this field position advantage.
See if they go back to the pass like they would have, or if they give Ahmad Sabah the carry this time after a couple nice carries early on in this drive.
It's been fun to watch. You can come in and get hot.
For sure. It almost looks like it's the Patriot way right now.
Yeah. Next man up. And they are missing some pieces on that offensive line once again today. Reindress out. Reed Galenic saw him out. Robert Rose still out up front.
Ref's doing some math right now, trying to figure out where the ball should be placed. It should be on the 21, right?
Yeah, definitely should be the 21.
I believe the last play was on the 36. And they will move it up. It looks like at the 24 now.
Yeah,
I'm 90% sure the last play was on the 36,
yep.
Unless I'm crazy.
Nope, spotted at the 24. And chase around this spot of the field. We've kind of seen some typical 2019 football. Get your best players in space and let them go to work. Derek Hinton already with 2 touchdown receptions. Williams in as well as this lengthy delay continues.
And they're going to bring it back now.
Interesting.
Maybe not. I think the Blue Devils are just going to huddle.
It's a beautiful day at Blue Devil Stadium, but a crisp 75-degree day. Couldn't ask for better weather. And it's been incessant rain, what's felt like incessant rain over the past couple of days. Actually had a men's soccer game canceled less than halfway through due to lightning on Wednesday. And the rain has just kept on coming and coming and coming. But it stopped just in time for this college football Saturday. Privileged to be a part of college football's 150th season.
Ball spotted at the 21.
So now we do have the 21-yard line.
All right.
Okay.
We got 2 wide receivers out to the right here, Kendall Williams, Derek Hinton Jr. We'll see if they do something there. Safety pretty close to the line of, or the defensive line, so if they don't do anything with it.
Sabah picks up 4 on first down. Does set up second and short for you, second and 6, second and manageable for you here. You can kind of go to anything in the playbook.
Nick Spohn comes in, Chris McCoy comes out. So we'll see if they go for a pass now after taking out a run-blocking tight end. And Spohn will go out on the far side.
C.J. Thompson in the game as well. We haven't heard much from him so far. The big 6'4" target. They'll release him. They look this time to Hinton, and he falls down on the football at the 11. They'll spot him at the 12. So just shy of a first down.
It'll be 3rd and inches here.
Yep.
What do? Do you go back to, I think you got to go back to one of your running backs here.
I think
no matter who it is. They've been running inside the tackles well all day. I think you just got to go back to them.
they do have the power back in Ahmad Sabal. Third and 1. They give it to the power back in Sabal. Slipped past the initial contact. I think he just got it.
Yeah, it looks like he got just to the 10, beat it by about half a yard. He was able to make C.J. Gron just miss. Gron had him by the foot, couldn't hold on, and the Blue Devils open up the playbook again at the 10-yard line here. First down. You can do whatever you want here. I think because your running game has just been so solid for the first half that you can afford just a fade or a deep shot on first down for the most part, because you're almost confident you're going to get 5-6 yards every time you rush right now.
First and goal from the 10. Kolka bobbles the snap. He's in trouble and goes down. Ty Castillo, he shoots out of a cannon getting into that backfield. Saw that on film a week ago. Comes up with his first sack of the game and sets the Blue Devils back a few yards. They'll put him back to the 14, so that brings up not the most favorable end goal position. It'll be second and goal rather from the 14.
Spohn, Otero both come out. Hinton, Williams again to the right, and Tanner Foley the back.
Feels like a really big possession here for the Wisconsin Lutheran defense. They get the pressure in the backfield immediately. Kolka was able to spin his way past that initial pressure coming from Jody Stajinski. But a minimal gain on second down, and they'll set up third and long. They need to get in the end zone here.
Right now it'd be a 30-yard field goal for Gibson if they are not to get it here. I think you got to go back to Hinton here. He's been your top wide receiver all day. He's matched up man-on-man right now. We'll see if a linebacker comes in. He is man-on-man.
Kolka with a clean pocket finds Kendall Williams, and he's able to gallop down to the 3. So that brings up a decision here on fourth down. They get a chunk that they would have preferred to have on first or second down. We'll see what they do here. It does appear as though the special teams unit is going to make their way out. Tanner Jeska, the backup QB and placeholder, will come in. And Gibson, the reigning MSFA Special Teams Player of the Week, will make his way in to attempt a field goal.
I don't mind going for the field goal here. You're already up 21-0, make it a full 3 scores.
Yep.
It's only a 20-yard chip shot.
That was the first ever weekly player award in the history of Lawrence Tech competing in the MSFA. And Gibson is able to make it 24-0.
Just got it through the left upright, but now up a full 3 scores, 24-0. We'll see if the Blue Devils can keep this goose egg up on the board against the Warriors.
Now, I asked Coach Duvendek how much confidence he and his team still take from their win over Wisconsin Lutheran last year, knowing that it's obviously a new year and a new season. And he said that the key is to realize that every season is new, and a lot of teams who may, rest on their laurels off a win that they had last year over a team tend to be flat coming out the next season. So the goal today was to remember that there are new aspects all around the field, and you really have to put last year's game behind you. But they've come out certainly with a different mentality in the beginning of last year's game, and it's showed in the scoreboard so far. A 24-0 lead. Wisconsin Lutheran didn't win a single road game a season ago. It was a 2-8 year. We're hoping to reverse that, but so far struggling once again away from home. This will be a penalty, and it'll tack on some yardage to the Wisconsin Lutheran offense and Nick Yaki to work with here with 5 minutes flat remaining in the second quarter of play.
I've seen already a couple rough kicks on the kickoff from Gibson. But for as well as the Blue Devil defense has played, I think they'll be able to pick him up.
Yeah, aside from that extra point, this hasn't been the most aesthetically pleasing game when it comes to kicking, at least. Meanwhile, Yaki threw an interception on his last possession. Can the true freshman quarterback put that interception behind him on the road in his first road start? It's been exactly 700 days since the last road victory for Wisconsin Lutheran. Allen Jackson gets a block this time from Marquise Davis. Flag goes flying. Jackson gallops down to the 40 of Lawrence Tech. Flag behind the play at the 47 of Wisconsin Lutheran. That was around where those blocks started to develop. And it does look like this yardage will be nullified.
Yep, typically when you see the flag in the area of the run or the return or what have you, it's typically going to be a hold or a block in the back. So we've seen a couple of good runs from the Warriors brought back by holding penalties. And again, sometimes that's not just discipline. Sometimes that's just the pressure the defense can put on you and force you to hold.
Well, that's the fourth penalty chase for now, 45 yards to set this Wisconsin Lutheran team back.
Much different than last week where they only had 2 penalties for 8 yards.
This time, once again, they fake that sweep and hand it off to the running back Jackson. Nothing doing that time. Gets crunched in the hole as they try to run it into a crowded box. Zachary Brown and Will Sturts leading the way there. That sets up 2nd and 10 from their own 35. Yaki has a man at the 40. It's Marquise Davis. That sets up 3rd and 4 after a gain of 6.
Defensive backs today doing a really nice job of tackling in the open field, not letting him get past him. We've seen a lot of those quick short curls, a lot of quick slants that have been ended rather quickly.
Davis has been a key part of this Wisconsin Lutheran offense in the early goings. Limited role over the past 3 seasons. But he stepped in and took a spot in camp. Jackson as they run it on 3rd down and 4. And they didn't, I believe they just got back to the line of scrimmage here. They did.
Again, another interesting play call there. They haven't run the ball up the middle very well. They've done pretty well on the outsides, but that was essentially the same play they ran a couple plays ago, just mirrored on that fake sweep. And that's a very surprising play call considering they're going to punt here. I figured maybe they'd try to go for it if you're going to run it on 3rd and 4 like that.
Now that sets up this Blue Devil offense with 2:44 and 2 timeouts. Clock is rolling. Ignazik back to kick. Williams will have to track this one back. It takes a Wisconsin Lutheran hop, but Williams finds an initial hole out to the 30. And with how this Blue Devil offense has been flowing so far, this is kind of setting them back from the field position we've seen over the past 3 or 4 drives, but they're flowing with confidence right now, Chase.
Oh, yeah. And I think you got plenty of time here, really, for how quickly this game's been moving just to run your normal offense. I don't think you really have to worry about throw this entire drive. I think you can throw in a couple runs here and there just because you've been able to gain so much yardage off of them.
It isn't an offense that you typically associate with getting down the field in a hurry. And this is the first opportunity we've really seen this season for them to maybe pull off a 2-minute drill scenario. They go to the air. Kolka opens up the shoulders, just has to throw it into the turf. C.J. Thompson in the vicinity, but Kolka was pressured well that time around by Ken Daniel, the freshman from Milwaukee.
Yeah, a couple guys chasing him there as he tried to scramble to the left, and that's a very tough pass to make. You're not going to make that too often, and it's almost a relief he didn't make that pass. There was a man waiting right there for the tackle anyways. Going to send 3 guys to the left now.
At the bottom of your screen, there's the matchup of Kendall Williams and Devontae Jones. They go to the ground. Foley, we've seen him break some long ones today. Lengthy strides out to the 45. Still 2:11 to work with as the clock stops momentarily. Now it'll get back going.
That's what I was talking about, Jason. I think you've just been so confident in your run ability so far this game that you can afford to let a few seconds drop off if you're going to gain 15, 20 yards each time you run the ball.
It was Tanner Foley's 10th carry, up to 96 yards now. At that long of 26, they go to the air. Plays progressing downfield. It's Hinton, who's had a sparkling afternoon, able to break the initial tackle from Ignasic.
Kolka rolled out to the left there. It was a nice block by Otero there just to give him a couple extra seconds to find an open man. So props to Otero there for that nice block. I know it's not always easy to block as a running back, but he made it look easy.
Kind of had to come back to the football there. It was an eventful sequence. We get a timeout taken by Lawrence Tech with 1:36 to go in this opening half of play. Still plenty of time for the Blue Devils to work with, up 24-0, and apparently with the mentality to score. We'll take a quick breather here on LTSN. Don't go anywhere. Still what could be a riveting finish to this first half of play. Jason Ross Jr. back alongside Chase Kaufman. 1:36 to work with here for Lawrence Tech. Kolka steps up, steps out, picks up the first down, and gets out of bounds.
Does get the first down there.
We don't see Kolka run a lot, but he can when he needs to, and does in a big spot there. This is a point of emphasis. They've struggled with tempo both offensively and defensively so far, dating back to last season, and trying to make improvements in that area this year. We'll see if they can get some points up on the board here to close out this first half of play with a commanding 24-zip lead right now.
James Cartwright, the third now, out on the far side. We'll see if he can do something with his one-on-one matchup.
Kolka, clean pocket, has spawn. The Phoenix native spins off one tackle and gets to the 30, and once again gets out of bounds.
Ethan Ortiz there missed the tackle, and Kolka was able to go to his first option to get that first down.
Didn't hear a lot from Nick Spawn a week ago. At a 142-yard game last season. Came in as one of their more highly anticipated targets. In now, and still 1:09 to work with for Lawrence Tech. Kolka, this time looking for Cartwright the third. Clipped off his hands, well defended by Devontae Jones, who came in there and made a timely intervention.
For sure, not a big deal on that incomplete pass. Even if he would have completed it, would have been, he probably would have gotten hurt pretty bad. He was right there waiting for the tackle.
Clock stops, 1:04 to work with.
Still plenty of time.
Kolka gets the directions from offensive coordinator Keith Beckham. Those two talk to each other quite a bit. It's a good communication. It's a good relationship. Kolka's such a vocal guy. He's a talented singer, actually. He's got quite the personality. Love chatting with him. Right now trying to engineer a drive. Looking downfield. Williams couldn't quite find him out of his reach. 59 seconds to go now in this first half of play. 3rd and 10.
Yeah, Kolka pressured a little bit on that one, but he got the pass off, but it was just a little too much under it. 3rd and 10, I think you just got to go back to the pass. It'll be interesting, though. Right now, they're sitting at a 48-yard field goal. Timeout Warriors here, though.
Wisconsin Lutheran uses their final timeout. And getting back to Tyler Kolka, his dad, Jim, is here. Such a nice guy. Love communicating with Jim. And his brother, Josh. Those two really love each other so much. And Josh is a 6'2" starting QB for Chippewa Valley, the same high school that Tyler Kolka played for just a few years ago. And Josh had an excellent first start a couple of weeks ago versus Saline. All he did was go 10 for 11 with 132 yards in the first half of play. Chippewa Valley won again last night. So congratulations to Josh and the Kolka family. Tyler's such an interesting story. He actually had an opportunity to walk on at BYU, but opted to take a 2-year mission. He's a faithful man, and he really is a wonderful person and soul to chat with. 3 months before coming home from that mission, he was in communication with his dad, and his dad was communicating with Coach Duve, and they told him, hey, we want Tyler to come in and be our quarterback. The rest was history. Now he finds himself in this position, 2nd year in a row as the starter. 58 seconds to work with here. Has Foley, another real business-like personality. Flag gets thrown. 52 seconds is where the clock is stopped. That was a 3rd and 10 play.
Again, in the area of the run, and it will be holding. Now back to the 40-yard line, kind of taking yourself out of that long field goal range. Now you got to pick up some yards here if you want to even attempt a field goal.
So that sets up 3rd and 20. Certainly a formidable hurdle to leap over here for Lawrence Tech. Couple more whistles are blown. No timeouts remaining for Wisconsin Lutheran if they do get this ball back. Blue Devils try to play it safe, but it ends up being quite the dangerous sequence. I think Wisconsin Lutheran might have pounced on that. They did. So Lawrence Tech tries to just maybe run the clock out there and not risk anything downfield, but ball security remains an issue. Now with 41 seconds, no timeouts, but 41 seconds, Wisconsin Lutheran with some decent field position.
41 seconds left, just behind midfield. We'll see if they can get something going to give themselves a little momentum and not be shut out in this first half. Try to drop it to a 2-score game.
That was the opposite of what Lawrence Tech was looking for. Javion Morgan gets wrestled down that time by a host of defenders, including Courtney McGarty and Drake Berry, who had an excellent week last week against St. Xavier.
Looked like the Warriors sideline wanted a penalty there, maybe a face mask penalty. Looked like he got him or tackled him pretty high. And the LTU Blue Devils going to call timeout here.
Lawrence Tech uses their final timeout of the half. Not quite as smooth as they thought they were going to finish out this first half of play. Things get a bit bumpy. We'll take a quick breather. 24-0, Lawrence Tech leads it, trying to close out this first half unscathed. Welcome back to LTSN. 15 seconds left on the second quarter clock. Still 49 yards to work with. That's picked off. Clark Broaden, the freshman, continues his sensational collegiate career, at least the beginning of it.
So the Blue Devils will shut out the Warriors in the first half. And you got 6 seconds left. If Kolka's got a big enough arm, go for a Hail Mary here, or do you just kneel it maybe? They're on the 45. Not bringing in a ton of receivers. Didn't look like they huddled. Looks like they're just going to kneel it and get to the end of the first half.
That will indeed do it for the first half of play. Blue Devils have completely flipped the scripts from the first half of this matchup a season ago when they trailed 22-3. Trying to finish it out now in a similar fashion to the way they did a season ago. Once again, 24-0 at the end of one half of play. You're watching Blue Devil football on LTSN.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the heart and soul of North 6 campus, the LTU Blue Devils Marching Band. Today's show titled Marvel vs. DC features the music of past and present superheroes. Our story starts with one loose ambassador speed bullet. More powerful than up and away.
You sit on the sidelines, but your heart is running across that field. His drive becomes yours, his dreams too. So when a torn ACL and concussion threaten those dreams, choose the sports medicine team that treats the whole athlete. Henry Ford Health System. We combine the most innovative technology with a personalized treatment plan so he can get back his confidence. And you can get back to being his biggest fan. Henry Ford Health System. All for you.
So you want to work out, and you're curious about supplements, but don't know where to start. All you have to do is, oh, you're already done. With the Benefit Box, you get full-size supplements customized to you and tailored to your fitness goals. With easy-to-use instructions delivered right to your front door. Visit www.thebenefitbox.com to get started on building your box and you today.
What we've been working on with the girls is trying to grow the team to be more involved with athletics and being a competitive team. We did our first competitions last year, and it went really great. It was an amazing learning experience. It taught us a lot about what we needed to work on as a team. One of the things that we really got to do is we challenged ourselves to be dancing at a higher level. We've been working with the girls on choreography and really pushing our limits as a team.
Well, we went to camp this year, which we didn't do last year, and I think that was a really good bonding experience because it was a kind of a tough camp, and so we all kind of struggled together and kind of brought us together.
For practice, we normally get up, and our practices are from 6 to 8 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then tomorrow we have pep rally, so we have a little bit of a practice before that. Saturdays is when the game is, and so we'll practice early in the morning on the field. We go to the tailgate, and then we perform.
It's very exciting because it's the first time our freshmen are going to perform for the school, and so they're going to dance for the crowd and have fun.
For us, we're planning on being almost there for every game. We're planning to keep it peppy, making sure the crowd is with us, and just excited overall.
What we're really trying to get people to see us as is the energy at the games. We want to be part of that group along with the band that's really building people up and getting them excited to be just in that whole atmosphere.
My name is Erin Atala. My major is biomedical engineering. I'm a freshman and I'm in the LTU marching band. I'd really like to go to Italy one day because I've been to Europe before and it's beautiful. M&Ms because I really like chocolate. Pineapple does not belong on pizza because I don't like pineapple and I don't think the flavors fit well together at all. My favorite thing about Lawrence Tech is the class size. I really like that they're small and personal and get to know your classmates and your teacher and ask them questions.
We are holding our prospect camp, and we open it up from 7th grade all the way up to seniors, going into their senior year. And we're holding it here at Troy Athens High School, and we got a gorgeous day for it. What it is people who have the dream of playing college softball. And for us, we have some people who are extremely interested in LTU that have come to the camp, or that they're looking to go on to college and play college softball. We go over It's more of advanced drills than just basic drills that we try to do here today.
I really like the prospect camp because there's always a lot of energy with these younger girls, so we get to help them out and grow their skills more, and we get to have fun while we're doing it and teach them like a lot of cool things that Coach Baird showed us.
My favorite thing is they always have a lot of energy. They always have, they're always high-fiving each other, and they talk a lot, and that's probably my favorite part.
We try and bring what we teach the younger kids to our fields. Like if there's something that our teammates aren't understanding, like we try and teach them like we would to teach the younger kids.
So we've got 2 freshmen here today, Aaron and Rylan. and I just met Aaron today, and we're already clicking, and it really helps us to kind of learn each other's teaching styles. So it really helps us know how I learn, how Sarah learns. Like, I learn different than Sarah, and it helps us to help each other.
I want the players here more than probably me. When they see the players doing the drills and being a part of it, it's for our players not only to give back to the game of softball, but also for our players to understand like the coaching aspect and how you do the drills and break down the drills. And our players do an awesome job with it.
So, Grace, I'd like to start out by saying welcome to the Lawrence Tech family. What emotions are you feeling right now as this starts to settle in and really become a reality?
I'm excited. I'm honored and humbled that Scott and the committee believed in me and my vision, and I'm excited and ready to get started.
Grace, when this job opening first came available, I guess what was the initial thought of why it might be a good fit for you?
You know, I've been a part of the WAC as a player and a coach for 7 years. I'm really familiar with it and the competition and Lawrence Tech's players, the roster that they have returning. And so it was an attractive job to me, and I wanted to be back home in my roots.
How would you describe your coaching and recruiting philosophies?
I really think Coach Kai did a great job of establishing, going after driven character young women that are driven on the basketball court and in the classroom. And that's really what I want to continue to look for when we're fitting the LTU mold.
What stood out to you most about Grace during this process?
I think just her attitude and her enthusiasm. She seems like a real go-getter. She's going to have her work cut out. You know, recruiting in our conference is pretty tough, but I think she comes with a great background of recruiting a high student athlete, great GPA, so that's what kind of set her apart from the other candidates.
Inference how tough it's gotten for Lawrence Tech women's basketball now back-to-back 21 seasons. We had a first-team All-American last year in Nicole Buckingham, the WAC Newcomer of the Year in Kendall Fisher. What are your expectations of this group moving forward?
You know, I expect her to pick up the ball and take off right where they left off. We have a lot of great talent coming back. We did lose a couple of key players, but I expect other people to step up, just like any team, right? Everyone's got to step up and do their role. Coach is going to come right in and get her hands dirty. It's going to be year one, so it's always going to be a different transition, you know, with a new team and a new coach. So we'll see how it goes.
Dahlia. I'm playing for LTU women's soccer, and I'm majoring biomedical engineering. My favorite movie is The Titanic, because every time when I'd go over to my grandma's house, we'd watch it together and eat ice cream every time we went. No matter if it was like 3 times a week, we'd watch The Titanic. My favorite hype-up song is Upgrade You by Beyonce, because it's really upbeat and I love Beyonce. My favorite thing to do in my spare time is either watch Netflix, hang out with friends, or read if I'm interested in a book, which usually I'm not, but sometimes I am. There's small occasions where it happens.
I grew up in Detroit and then moved to Farmington Hills. So I went to Central for a few years and then went to Wayne State and have a civil engineering degree, environmental engineering degree, and a couple masters as well, civil and environmental, with interest in chemistry as well. 30 years of coaching a women's team. Again, another interesting thing. It takes a different approach and a lot of psychology. My wife, Michaeline, is a psychologist, so that helps out a ton. I bring a lot of that in as well. So we started out this summer coming off our best spring that we've had, so we made some improvements. We did really well spring ball, competed really well with some Division II teams, which is a step up for us. And then we had a specific finite role of people that we needed to fill for 2019, and I think we got a good incoming crew to do that. We've hosted more recruit days on campus than we ever have for 19 and 20. We've had over 12 2020s on campus already, so that's one of those things, and they're juniors now, so that's really good. We have a core group of great leadership kids and great seniors this year. I mean, it just absolutely is easy to coach them. So a lot of those successes and that stuff, we set the process, we steer a little bit as a coaching staff, and their foot's on the gas. Always challenging for the girls, and it's not anything the same old, it's always new and always, you know, again, making them comfortable.
Welcome back to Southfield. A beautiful day at Blue Devil Stadium at Lawrence Tech. Off to a beautiful start offensively. 24-0 after one half of play. They've totally flipped the script from this matchup a season ago when they trailed 22-3 at the half. Wisconsin Lutheran won the toss and elected to receive. So Derek Hinton will climb back here. Instead, it will be Broaden taking his place, who had that interception to close out in the first half of play. Tyler Kolka in the offense having a prolific day so far. On the ground, through the air, you name it, it's been sensational. Gonna pick up where they left off. Tanner Foley flips the 100-yard mark in that first half. Tyler Kolka at 156, 11 of 16 through the air for 2 touchdowns. Both were thrown to Derek Hinton, the freshman sensation from Avondale High School. Jason Ross Jr. back alongside Chase Kaufman. Producer Kia Tyus, Jenna Skalski here as well, working the production. Chloe Godbold, Denver Rokon. On the first play of the second half, it's Foley. The aforementioned running back moves forward for a gain of 4.
Looks like Foley's been most of the go-to guy today. He's got 12 carries now, and Sabah's got 6, and that's kind of flipped from last week when Sabah had 19 of the carries and Foley had 9. So Foley getting a little bit more of a chance to prove himself here today against Wisconsin Lutheran.
Yeah, it's kind of been who's hot. We're going to plug you in. They go to the air for the first time this half. Looking Hinton's way. He was covered, so he finds his check down in C.J. Thompson, the big 6'5 target, moving the pile, using all of his 6'5 height there to go along with it. 200-pound frame.
Yeah, great pass blocking there. Gave Tyler Kolka plenty of time to find his guy. Only a 5 or 6 yard pass, but that's good enough for the first down.
Bit of a sloppy start to the end of the first half for Lawrence Tech. Looked like it was going to be a clean finish. They were going to motor their way down the field, potentially score. Ended up fumbling it around midfield. That set up Wisconsin Lutheran with some decent position, but then Nick Yockey threw an interception. Here's Sabah. This is what he does. He bursts through tackles. So tough to bring down, lowering those pads and blocking his way for a gain of 6. That sets up what will be 3rd down and 2.
Baker on the stop for the Warriors.
Matt Baker made the tackle. Down behind the play is their starting linebacker C.J. Gron, one of the seniors. We'll take a quick breather during this injury timeout. Early goings of this second half of play. Lawrence Tech with a short yardage situation to go when we come back. Welcome back to LTSN. 2nd and 3. Blue Devils at their own 47. Plenty of room in the playbook. In a scenario like this, they've been so balanced today. Warriors almost jumped there. Kolka really working the count. Finds Sabah. Another first down, navigating his way inside of Wisconsin Lutheran territory to the 46.
And that was set up by a nice block there from the tight end, Chris McCoy. Push that defensive end out of the way. Give room for Sabah. Another first down.
Both teams at 0-1 so far this season. She's really in the game of football overall. An 0-2 start can be so difficult to recover from.
For sure. Saw a stat in the NFL the other day. Only 12% of 0-2 teams make it to the playoffs. Obviously, that doesn't mean much here, but just kind of goes to show how hard it is really to come back from an 0-2 start.
Wisconsin Lutheran is trying to avoid what would be their 4th consecutive 0-2 start. 2015 was the last time that they won their season opener, but even that year they started 1-4. They haven't had a 2-1 start since 2012. 2-8 a season ago, 0-5 on the road. It's been exactly 700 days since the last Wisconsin Lutheran road win, and they have a high hurdle ahead of them if they want to climb their way back into this one. Another second and manageable situation for Tyler Kolka. They go to the air. He looks the direction of Spawn. Finds Hinton on the comeback route at the 29. Wrestled down by Ignazit at the 28.
And if Wisconsin Lutheran wants to come back, they're going to have to slow down LTU on this drive. Not a good start on the opening drive for the defensive side of Wisconsin Lutheran. LTU starting out on the 25-30 yard line already down to 28 of the Warriors.
It's a gain of 18 on 2nd and 5. Once again, moving with a certain buzz to this offense. They bring McCoy in, the big tight end. Comes in motion. They look that way. They'll set up a screen for Hinton. Has a block from Thompson. Able to shove aside the first tackler. A flag goes down after a gain of 8. But we'll see if it'll stand.
Nice screen pass there. You could tell Warriors in zone coverage. Nobody followed McCoy to the right side. So you know they weren't man on man, at least up front. Nice screen pass in zone coverage, but it looks like it might be a holding penalty. It is in the area. It is a holding penalty on LTU.
Last time they were kind of down in the red zone area, there was a holding penalty that brought them back. At a 1st and goal situation from the 10. Ended up getting pushed back much further than they would have liked. Similar scenario here, but still 1st down.
Happened on their final drive, too. They were looking at 3rd and 10 around the 30. Called for holding, made it 3rd and 20 at the 40. And they couldn't do anything with it there, and that's when they fumbled.
1st and 16. It's another lengthy run for Tanner Foley. Able to get a good chunk of that yardage back, and he'll set up 2nd and 5.
We saw that a lot in the first half. Just a ton of nice runs right through the tackles. They pick up where they left off. Only a few more yards to go. I would probably just give it right back. Run the same play until they can prove that they can stop you up the middle.
They're actually going to move this spot down to what they'll call 2nd and 2. So Foley gets 14 on that 1st down carry. They go back to him. Able to get past the initial contact. Brought down ankle high that time by Cameron Wolf. And he does pick up the 1st down.
Just barely.
Yeah. Bills venture inside of the red zone once again.
Got a nice tackle inside the tackle, or nice run inside the tackles.
Chase, that push on the line of scrimmage that we thought was going to be such a big storyline coming into this one has really dealt in favor of Lawrence Tech for the majority of this affair.
For sure, and you could see the confidence they came out of last game even in the second half when they actually won the second half 10-7. Now they're bringing it to this game here.
Kendall Williams makes the catch and gets down inside the 10. It's a 9-yard gain. We'll spot him right at the 10-yard line. They need the 8 for a 1st and goal situation.
And short.
The emphasis today was getting off to a hot start right out of the gates. Trailed 38-3 at halftime a week ago to the Blue Devils. Kolka makes the adjustment, bringing Hinton over to the bottom of your screen, along with Williams. They hand it off to Otero. He's bottled up at the just past the line of scrimmage by Drew Seymour.
The ball carrier.
Matt Baker in there as well. That sets up 3rd and short.
Otero out, Sabah in. Bigger running back. You got to assume they're going to bring him in. 3rd and short here.
It's going to be 3rd
probably just run it again. There hasn't been a lot of tackles for loss on these run plays. Then again, you also got Derek Hinton down at the end, close near side, one-on-one. And they're going to get a false start here on the Blue Devils. I believe it's going to be on C.J. Thompson. It was tight end on the left side. And again, Jason, that goes back to the discipline.
Yeah, last week we saw some mistakes just like that down in the red zone. Ended up scoring once in the red zone after getting past those initial self-inflicted mistakes. What felt like a litany of them, but Kolk was able to hit Derek Hinton for a TD pass last week in the third quarter. Today he's found him twice. What feels like more of a passing situation now on 3rd and 6. They do go to the air. Kolka pressured, trying to evade the pressure of Cameron Wolf, looking for Kendall Williams. He couldn't hang on just beyond the pylon. That sets up 4th and 6. The special teams unit will come out, hoping to make it 27-0.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a comeback route, a late comeback route. Kolka just couldn't find him in time. He had to scramble to get away from the rusher. He just couldn't get him in time. A little bit an earlier pass might have had him. There was really no shot they were going to get him because he had to get away from that rusher.
This is a 31-yard attempt.
This will be a 31-yarder for Brad Gibson. Goes 2 for 2. That soars wide left, actually.
Even in warm-ups, I saw him pulling it left for a good chunk of his warm-up kicks. And Gibson not on today. Not on with those short chip shots or the kickoffs. A couple of kickers on the LTU roster, perhaps. After that one, they switch out on the kickoffs, or maybe even the extra points or field goals, rather.
We saw some guys warming up at halftime. The first missed field goal attempt of the season for Brad Gibson.
Blue Devils back in the 4-3 right now. 4 defensive backs.
Gain of 6 for Alan Jackson on first down. He was taken down by Drake Berry there, along with Xavion McDonald. NCAA Division III versus NAIA battle. This Wisconsin Lutheran team for years now, plagued by rough starts. Lawrence Tech, after a 72-year hiatus, their first season in a conference since 1941. You have to go all the way back to their days in the Michigan-Ontario Collegiate Conference. They had an independent year in 1946, so no conference opponents that year. This is a non-conference matchup, obviously, and the Blue Devils trying to get in the win column for the first time this season. Last week was a rough atmosphere in terms of building up energy for the second half after you go into that second half trailing 38-3. This time the energy, you don't really have to work on building it up because you had a successful opening half. Now it's just a matter of sustaining that energy. So a different challenge, but I think every time you'd prefer to be at 24-0.
Oh, yeah.
Yaki to the air. They haven't really been able to get this going so far. Downfield, able to haul this one in, is Gabe Luce. He is loose, and it's the first touchdown of the afternoon for Wisconsin Lutheran.
Blue Devils rush 5 there. They rush a middle linebacker in there. He couldn't get there in time. Not much pressure on Yaki for that pass. Able to get it off cleanly. And Luce in for the first score for the Warriors.
74 yards, Nick Yaki to Gabe Luce. And Jay, still plenty of time to go in this one. Gabe Luce, the Michigan native, Oakley, Michigan, and he has family in the stands today. Oakley is about an hour and a half away. An anthropology major. Receivers have shown some excellent footwork as they go 2 for 2 here. And Alan Jackson able to hurdle his way in, so now 24-8.
All these 2-point conversions are going to be pretty huge because, I mean, if they don't get it there, they're still down 3 scores. Now they're down 2 full scores after converting that 2-point.
Wisconsin 8, Lawrence Tech 24.
So the first blemish of this one for Lawrence Tech, broken coverage on the back end, leads to a 74-yard bomb from Gabe Luce, the Michigan native.
Wisconsin Lutheran.
And that more than doubled Nick Yaki's passing yardage total just in that pass alone. So definitely a blemish on the LTU defense. If you look at the stat lines, they've been doing really well all day until that play right there. Short kick here, see if you can get a good return.
Hinton bobbles it. And then on the second effort, almost broke through that pile of white jerseys.
With the return from Lawrence Tech.
And they'll spot him at the 29.
Will take over at their own 29-yard line.
CJ Thompson out on the far side now. Interesting spot for a tight end. And Jason, you can almost start to feel that momentum push the other way for the Warriors. 74-yard touchdown and now a tackle for loss on the run game, which we have not seen a lot of today.
No. Really, for the first time since Lawrence Tech eclipsed the 20-point mark, are we now seeing the Warriors kind of push back? Kolka looking the direction of Williams, throws over to the sideline. They're going to pick up about 4 here. It's James Cartwright the third.
Not too bad. It looked like it was going to be a design screenplay. Kolka didn't like where he was at. A couple guys waiting for him right there. Sent Williams out. Picked up 4 on that play.
Stop made by Michael Ignason.
So this is interesting here, Jason. 3rd and 6, usually a passing down, but they haven't gotten a ton of big passing plays yet this second half. But we'll see what they can do here.
From their own 34, down the seam, it's Kendall Williams galloping into the end zone. The Florida native with a big burst and a spark for this Lawrence Tech offense as they answer right back.
It looked like Kendall kind of got his man on a little bit of a double move, able to create some space, about a step and a half. He bobbled the catch just a little bit. But after he secured it, he was off to the races. That is a momentum changer.
So 30-8, the Blue Devils strike right back after it felt like the momentum was shifting. Gibson will come on for the extra point.
Try to get some redemption here. And that one does go through.
And the kick is good. Following a 66-yard pitching catch between Kolka and Williams.
31-8 now in favor of the Blue Devils after the Warriors had that big play touchdown. LTU storms right back with a touchdown of their own. Jason, that's the good thing about football. Sometimes when your offense gets going, it gives the defense a little momentum. And I expect to see, you know, I'm going to be greedy. I'm going to ask for a 3-and-out on this drive right here. I'm going to be greedy.
Continuing the momentum with a young group. Consistency is what they're looking for. They're able to answer right back that time around.
Better kickoff there for Gibson.
Taken down at the 22 there was Sam Boone. Yaki now will come back up. Freshman to lead this Wisconsin Lutheran offense on the Blue Devil side, as Chase mentioned. But 3-and-out here could really spur on the offense and continue to pick up where they left off with that big run.
For sure, and I think it goes back to staying aggressive. We saw in the first half they were rushing 5-6 every other play, and it was working.
Downfield. It's Javion Morgan on a big game.
Again, they rushed 4 there, gave Yaki plenty of time, and I think they really need to go back to rushing 5 or 6. It was working so well early in the first half. He gave Yaki 0 time to figure out his routes.
All of a sudden, the Wisconsin Lutheran passing game has come to life a bit. That's a 25-yard gain. On the Blue Devil 45, out of the backfield, it's Lehman trying to slip past Drake Berry. Berry hung on, and this might be an infraction on the tackle.
Looks like it's going to be a horse collar tackle. Again, the Blue Devils rush 4. No pressure on the quarterback, Yaki. It's going to end up being over a 20-yard play with that penalty in there. Horse collar tackle.
Personal foul called against the Blue Devils.
That tacks 15 more on. The end of that was a significant play on first down. And they'll move to the 23.
First down, Warriors.
Yaki looking to the sideline that time for Javion Morgan.
We'll bring up second down.
Yaki now 10 of 21 on the day with 183 yards. 2 interceptions. First half, just couldn't really get off to a clean start. It was almost an unexpected burst out of the gates for Lawrence Tech in relation to what they did a week ago. But in their minds, no surprise at all. Now trying to keep it up in the second half. Out of the backfield once again, it was Lehman, but that time couldn't hang on.
Yaki's pass intended for Todd Lehman. Incomplete.
Lehman, a three-sport athlete in high school, track, basketball, and football. This group lost their leading receiver from a season ago to graduation, Christian Wayak. Javion Morgan returns the most yards from last year receiving-wise, but they like to mix Lehman into the passing game. We've seen more of him this week than we did last week against Lake Forest. It was a 27-15 loss for this group last weekend against Lake Forest. Now they'll call a timeout, trying to get organized. What feels like a big 3rd and 10 in terms of the rest of this football game coming up with 4:21 to go in the third quarter of play. It's 31-8 in favor of Lawrence Tech.
So when a torn ACL and concussion threaten those things, choose the sports medicine team that treats the whole athlete. Henry Ford Health System. We combine the most innovative technology with a personalized treatment plan that can prevent this complex. And you can get back to moving. Henry Ford Health System. All for you.
Welcome back to LTSN. What feels like a big 3rd and 10 on the Blue Devil 23. For Nick Yockey in this offense, broken coverage into the end zone goes Gavin Winter, his 2nd career reception and his 2nd career touchdown. We do have a flag down back at the line of scrimmage.
Warriors pointing toward the Blue Devil way. Gavin Winter with the corner out there. Christian Clark brought in, who's had such a nice start to his season. Looked like he tripped a little bit and lost him.
It's a roughing the passer call, so this will stand. And what an interesting start to the career of Gavin Winter. Had 1 reception last week, but that 1 reception was for 25 yards, and it was for a touchdown. It also happened to be the first touchdown of the season for Wisconsin Lutheran, as they go for 2 here, and not to pile on, but it also happened to be the first throwing touchdown for this man, Nick Yockey, as he looks to go for 2, trying to stretch to the pylon. That time with Davion Morgan. The ball is loose. It's pinballing around. Ultimately, the Blue Devils will deny the 2-point conversion.
And that's a huge stop, Jason. That moves it from a 2-score game down 15 to now down 17, a full 2-score and a point game. So it's a 3-score game now. And how about that play from Xavion McDonald? That ball was probably maybe 6 to 12 inches away from that goal line. Xavion punched it out and stopped that from getting in. And Jason, that was one of the closer 2-point conversions we're going to see all year. That was close. One of the more important 2-point conversions too.
Might have been able to use a pylon cam there.
No kidding.
Reached out, got the goal line.
Initially, I thought he got in up here on the first try, but apparently not. Roughing the passer penalty will be tacked on here on the kickoff. So the Warriors will kick off at midfield.
Connor Schodel to kick off here for Wisconsin Lutheran. Derek Hinton back inside of his own 10. It's a 31-14 game now as Hinton calls for the fair catch.
Hinton calls for the fair catch.
So Tyler Kolka, offensive coordinator Keith Beckham, now the 17-point lead to work with. Can you perhaps put together somewhat of a methodical drive and get through the end of this 3rd with the football? And on the other side for Wisconsin Lutheran, if you were to force maybe a 3-and-out here, you're looking at getting the ball back and maybe with the intention of cutting this lead down to 10. So what feels like maybe even a bigger defensive possession here for the Warriors. Hinton in space, picks up the first down and more. Gain of 17, up to the 41.
Great look by Kolka there, noticing nobody on demand down there. I would have expected them to just run it right there just because they've been so powerful running. But a good look from Kolka there to throw it on the screen. Nobody covering him. An easy first down for the Blue Devils.
Those screen passes have been prolific so far for Lawrence Tech. Now 1st and 10, this time they do go to the ground. Foley with a block off the left side. Gets 13 on first down. 3:42 left in the 3rd, and now all of a sudden the Blue Devils, I may have forgot, but they had a pretty big bomb last time they were on offense to Kendall Williams. Kind of picked up where they left off.
That's the good thing for this offense right now. So balanced, and they've been doing both sides well right now. Before that run, they had 27 rushes by the running backs for over 170 yards.
Tanner Foley having a sensational day. They go to the air again. Hinton climbs the ladder. Yet another first down. This time they pick up 12.
3 plays, 3 first downs so far for the Blue Devils. Clock running down, a little over 3 minutes left in the third quarter, and I think if you're LTU right now, you just continue doing what's working. And right now, everything's working.
Yeah.
So just continue running your offense. Keep the defense guessing.
Last week, Tyler Kolka just could not get comfortable. 9 for 27. This week, the script has been flipped. Foley able to spin his way this time for a good chunk on first down. And Wisconsin Lutheran defense is on their heels, winding down this third quarter. What would have felt like a big stop had they made one in quick fashion. But right now, it's the Lawrence Tech pro-style offense working with a really nice rhythm.
For sure, and it starts in the trenches just like Coach Dubendek was telling us. And right now, this offensive line is working hard. Pass blocking, run blocking, they are working both sides right now. And if I had a game ball, I'd probably give it to them right now because it's pretty good right now what they're doing.
That was an emphasis in practice, and we've seen it on display when game day has rolled around. Foley, another first down run, this time to the 20.
I also asked Coach Dubendek what they would practice with the offensive line because looking from the outside, you know, how do you really practice at the offensive line? And in the end, when you're just watching, they're just blocking, right? But they said they were working on different techniques for this offensive line, and right now it's showing.
Well, C.J. Gran is down for the second time today, walking off rather gingerly. Tanner Foley is averaging 8 yards per run in this one. He's had 16 carries, and they just have not been able to slow him down. Up to 138 yards, averaging 8 per carry once again at that 26-yard burst in the first half. Makai Otero in at running back now. He'll just block for Kolka, who has all day to throw, but excellent coverage downfield. Dangerous throw, sails beyond the reach that time of Tony Orlando, who was on the coverage.
Dangerous for sure. I'm surprised we didn't see Kolka just try to get a couple yards out of that play. Defensive backs looked really good right there. Everybody was really well covered.
As we mentioned in the first half, it was a fairly relaxed mood in practice this week for the Blue Devils, but the intensity was high, according to the coaching staff. Line of scrimmage was an emphasis. They felt the passing game was the weakest part of their offense last week, and there were reasons why they couldn't get it going. They go to the ground game here as Otero lunges his way forward. This looks like the offense we saw in the first half for the majority of play. Inside the 15, another first down, and it will be first and goal from the 10. With 1:24 to go in the third quarter.
Otero now averaging a little more than 5 yards a carry. Only 4 carries on the day, but already 21 yards for Otero.
It's the Blue Devil team, their first season in competitive play after their probationary season a year ago, a mandatory probationary season after resuming the football program here on campus that hadn't played since 1946. Tyler Kolka leading the way at QB today, nearing 300 yards, has 3 touchdowns. We mentioned the BYU ties to this game. Kolka had an opportunity to walk on at BYU coming out of high school, opted to go on the 2-year mission. On the other side, head coach Dennis Miller, who was then the main man and head coach of the full 20-year history now this Wisconsin Lutheran program, was actually an assistant coach at BYU back in '84 and '85. We all remember that magical 1984 season for BYU. As this snap is fumbled, Kolka will improvise, though, picking it up. Has to scramble. Watched here by the defensive Cameron Wolf, and just throws this one away.
I'm surprised he had that much time considering the snap. And it looked like C.J. Thompson was open over the middle, but Kolka running the opposite way would have been a very tough across-the-field pass. And as a quarterback, that's the thing you don't teach. Across-the-field passes are very, very dangerous.
Chase, maybe another testament to this offensive line, though. They're not what
sure.
you want, a bobbled snap, but I think that's certainly another testament that really epitomizes what they've done so far.
Definitely.
That ball hopped twice, I think, and he still had.
I think it rolled a few yards, too.
Yeah.
Ball grew legs on that one.
So now 3rd and goal from the 8. Kolka looking for Spawn in the back of the end zone. Tried to dump it off for C.J. Thompson, who's turning around. This most likely a holding call here.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be on Otero.
Kolka's pass
Trying to buy some time, but did it in an illegal fashion.
Penalty flag on the play. Holding call against the Blue Devils.
They did decline the penalty, so it'll be 4th and 8. And the special teams will now come out on the field for the field goal attempt.
Brad Gibson on to attempt the field goal.
Gibson 1 for 2 today.
Looks like it'll be about a 30-yarder, 31-yarder.
This is a 25-yard attempt.
25-yarder. They're on the 8 now, 13. So most likely end the 3rd quarter as well.
Gibson now 2 for 3, able to make it a 20-point lead on what was a 4-minute and 13-second drive to close out this 3rd quarter of play. What felt like a big one, not give the ball back there to the Wisconsin Lutheran team that was starting to pick it up.
At Henry Ford Health System, we treat the whole athlete, from surgery to cardiology.
I'd like to remind you that this broadcast is brought to you by our friends at Henry Ford Health System. We treat the whole athlete of the health system, surgery to cardiology, nutrition to performance conditioning, sports psychology to brain health, using the most innovative treatments, technologies like motion analysis and advanced treatments. We champion the whole athlete, injury prevention, and treatment performance conditioning with appointments with 24 business hours. Let us create a unique game plan for you, just like we do for the pros. Visit us at henryford.com/sports. Well, the Blue Devils will kick it off to begin this 4th and final quarter of play. We've seen crazier things. The Lawrence Tech with a 20-point lead to begin this 4th. Chase, what do you feel is the mentality that you have to carry now in a different position, much different position than you were a week ago?
Yeah, you got a 20-point lead right now. I think you can start to kind of relax, but you don't want to take your foot off the pedal just yet. 15 minutes left in the college game. Clock stops after each first down. Still plenty of time for this Wisconsin Lutheran team to get a few touchdowns, and not a good start there, though.
Sam Boone bobbled that one. So an inauspicious start to the 4th for Wisconsin Lutheran.
And we've seen what they can do on offense. They can get those big chunk plays and score within a minute or two. They've stopped LTU on defense a couple times already today, so if they can just get a few more of those right in a row, Wisconsin Lutheran's going to be right back in this game. So I don't think it's just time to take your foot off the pedal yet if you're the Blue Devils.
The Warriors will begin this drive at the 18. It was a 74-yard bomb, as Chase mentioned. In the 3rd for Wisconsin Lutheran from Nick Yockey to Gabe Luce. Warriors have started 0-2, at least for the past 3 seasons, trying to avoid a 4th. They go to their big target. It's Matt Brannon, senior tight end who they normally bring in for blocking situations. He's able to pick up 5 on first down.
Yeah, these flat routes have been working pretty well so far for Wisconsin Lutheran in this second half. Their offensive line is starting to pick it up a little bit to the point where they can send out the running back as an extra receiver on these flat routes. They don't have to keep him back there to block.
They do roll with some nice tempo. They'll need that in the 4th. Back to the air they go. Out of the reach that time of Marquise Davis, Urbana, Illinois native. They've targeted him quite a few times today. That sets up 3rd and 5.
Yockey going with a lot of quick passes lately, which is okay now for the Blue Devils if you're not going to rush more than 5, just because Yockey's going to release it quick anyway, so there's really no point to rushing more than 4. But if they start going to the deep ball, then I think you should start to become more aggressive, rush 5 or 6.
We'll see what the Blue Devils' young defensive line can do. That time, over anxious on the start. And this should set the Warriors back. It will.
False start, Wisconsin Lutheran.
Back to 3rd and 10 now. 3rd and long for the Warriors. And this is such a huge play for the Blue Devils. Set them back to 4th and 10.
Still third down.
And they won't have the ball, and they'll be down 3 scores, just 14 minutes left to go. Big play right here for the Blue Devils.
Yaki to the air, bobbling it, but able to haul it in. That time he finds his man. It's Brandon Livingston, sophomore receiver from California.
It was Daniel Max on the coverage, and he just lost his man by a step. And you see what happens when you lose a guy by a step. Creates a nice little hole for Yaki to throw through.
Alan Jackson finds a hole. Jackson gets to the 41.
Alan Jackson
Gain of 6 on first down.
Those are the plays right now as LTU. You're not too worried about the clock still running, down 3 touchdowns. As long as the clock keeps ticking and you end up getting a stop on this drive, the Blue Devils will be totally fine with that play.
Second and 4. They go to the air, looking for Marquise Davis. He has Marquise Davis. Gets past Davidson. It's a lengthy gain inside of Blue Devil territory to the 46.
Yeah, just a simple one-on-one comeback route. Nice timing there by Yaki, getting the ball in, and that's the importance of those comeback routes, getting the timing down. That's something that they work on in practice, building that chemistry, especially on those routes like that.
They're able to pick up 15. Now they go with the 4 receiver set, moving Davis to the bottom of your screen on the near side of the field. Here is Yaki with a clean pocket. Towards the sticks, has Gabe Luce, who hauled it down. These receivers have almost a balletic footwork on the sidelines. So graceful. Gabe Luce there. He had that 74-yard reception for a touchdown earlier in the half. That's his second, and it'll set up 2nd and 1.
Again, another comeback route. Good timing there by Yaki. Moose just able to get his foot down. The 2nd and looks like inches.
Blue Devil crowd trying to urge on their defense. That ball zips past Tyree Campbell. I think Xavier McDonald might have gotten a piece of it, reaching out the left hand.
It's going to bring up 3rd down.
Another 3rd down for the Blue Devils, this time 3rd and short. Maybe now is the time to bring in a couple extra defensive linemen, or possibly bring in a couple linebackers to blitz here.
Will Sturts got that time to Alan Jackson. Did he get him soon enough?
It looks like they will get the 1st down.
By inches, they move along the chains. Still 11:45 to work with in the 4th. If you're Wisconsin Lutheran, you certainly can't surrender any more points. And right now, working on cutting into this lead to perhaps make it a 2-possession game. And if they can get it to a 2-possession game with time for 2 possessions in this 4th, is certainly in the realm of possibility they could come back. Here's Alan Jackson. You continue to have plays like that. Gallops inside the 15 and down to the 12.
Nice little dump off screen there to Jackson. Got through the couple offensive linemen that were going for the defensive linemen rather that were going for the quarterback. He was in space. A couple blockers in front. Make a big play out of it.
12-yard line.
They get 26 yards on that last play. They fake it and go to Jackson again, but the side of the line was ready for it that time for the Blue Devils.
Clock's still not really in Wisconsin's favor right now. Still a little over 10 minutes to go. But for the Blue Devils, and you're going to allow them to score, obviously you don't want to allow them to score, but try to make it as long as possible. Try to get it maybe under 9 minutes till they score, and then eat up some of the clock on your next drive, possibly score. And if they can score while eating up a lot of time, it'll be tough for Wisconsin to come back from that.
Working our way under 10 minutes now. Yaki with time again. Broaden, that time working against Davis.
Yaki's pass intended for Davis.
Broaden able to emerge victorious.
Yeah, that was a dangerous pass there by Yaki. Broaden had him all the
Chris
way.
Broden on the coverage.
I think if Yaki actually would have made a pass that wide receiver could have caught, that definitely could have been picked off. So maybe that was one of those intentional incomplete passes there from Yaki.
Wisconsin Lutheran is one of two 0-1 teams in the Northern Athletics Collegiate Conference. Lakeland is the other. Eureka College won the conference a season ago. Right now, the primary focus for this Wisconsin Lutheran team is getting in the end zone. Lehman out of the backfield. We've seen him come in almost exclusively for situations just like that, trying to pick up some short yardage. That brings up 4th and 4. Surely the offense has to stay out here. They don't even blink. They are going to go for it.
It'll be interesting to see what they do here. They've been working out of the flat for most of the game, but those plays are just so risky. You can either gain 10, lose 10. But it looks like LTU gonna come together and figure some stuff out before they can run a play.
We do get a timeout called. Big 4th and 4 situation from the 9-yard line of Lawrence Tech coming up next. You're watching Blue Devil football on LTSN. Back to Lawrence Tech football on LTSN. 9:56 to go in the 4th. Lawrence Tech trying to hang on to what is currently a 20-point lead. So pretty comfortable, but this one nowhere near over. Although this might be the biggest play of the game for the Wisconsin Lutheran offense.
Sideline crowd starting to get pumped up here.
You can feel the decibel level rising. Yaki to the end zone is broken up by Daniel Max. One of the leaders in the Blue Devil defense comes up big in an enormous spot in the 4th quarter.
Interesting play call there. They opted for a crossing route. We really haven't seen a lot of crossing routes from the Warriors so far today. We've seen a lot of passes out to the flat and a lot of comeback routes, but that's something we haven't seen much today. And I wonder if that had something to do with that incomplete pass.
So after the turnover on downs, Tyler Kolka and this Blue Devil offense make their way back out, backed up inside their own 10. But for the majority of this game, one of the key advantages has been field position tilted in favor of Lawrence Tech. They go to the ground. No surprise, Tanner Foley has been special. Breaks 2 tackles. Flag goes flying down, but Foley has room. Gets up to the 50.
Yeah, this time Foley outside the tackles. And this one works pretty well, but there is a flag in the backfield as well as a player down.
It's a holding call. This one, I believe, will be negated. And we do have a Wisconsin Lutheran Warrior down back to 6. Can't quite make out the number from here. Run taken away, but really illustrates the kind of day that Tanner Foley has had behind this offensive line. But after last week's 45-13 loss, naturally deflated. Spoke to them after the game, and you could tell the mentality, at least the focus, had shifted very quickly to the next opponent. We've seen it so far in this one. 34-14, the Blue Devil lead, 9:42 to go in this fourth quarter. We'll step aside from this injury timeout. Welcome back to LTSN. Jason Ross Jr. alongside Chase Kaufman. 9:40 remaining in the fourth. Blue Devils able to come up with the big 4th and 4 stop on the last Wisconsin Lutheran possession. They go back to Foley. It's the same side, looking for the edge. This time, he won't get it.
Looks like he got about 2 yards in that play.
Tanner Foley with several Warriors in on the stop.
Foley has put together a luminescent afternoon, 138 yards on the ground, averaging just a shade under 9 yards per carry. Had a 26-yard rushing touchdown in the first half. Ahmad Sabah also with 51 on the day. He had an injury scare earlier in this one. Was able to come back, though. Good sight for Blue Devil fans in the first half. And Sabah is in the game here. Really working the running back rotation.
Sabah, the ball carrier.
Able to pick up about 6 or 7. They spotted it 3rd and 1. So it was a gain of 6.
Big play here coming up. 3rd and 1. With just a little over 8 minutes to go. So if you can get the first down, keep this drive moving. Ultimately, there's not going to be a lot of time left for Wisconsin to score 3 touchdowns, maybe 4.
Well, this Wisconsin Lutheran defense gave up about 36 points per game last season as we get a false start penalty here. Again in a big spot. Sam Johnson might have jumped.
False start, Lawrence Tech.
Again, Jason, discipline. 3rd and 1 to 3rd and 6 is such a huge penalty, especially at this stage in the game. Now you got to think they're going to go back to the pass.
And if you do get stopped here, you're still in a position where Wisconsin Lutheran could have reasonable field position.
We haven't seen a lot of Michael Fox today, the punter for LTU.
Sabah bounces past the first. Couldn't get past the second. Makes his way to the 16-yard line, and Sabaw might be down again.
Got a penalty timeout.
Holding his knee.
Injury timeout.
Was injured earlier in this one back in the first half. Was able to make his way back into the game, obviously, but now appears to be in some pretty severe discomfort holding that right knee. Sabaw had an excellent offseason. Coach Duveneck told us that last year he came in, maybe wasn't quite ready for college football just yet. Was kind of the power back in the rotation, but really worked on that physicality and his stamina in the offseason. Was constantly around the facilities. Now being looked at, though, for the second time this afternoon. Recently named a captain, the Dearborn Heights native. Fordson High School is where he went. He's going to be helped off the field here, and this doesn't look good for Ahmad Sabaw. Hoping that he's all right, but unable to put any weight on that right knee. They have to carry him off the field. One of his offensive linemen and tight end Chris McCoy help him off. Chatted with Ahmad after last week's game. Really cool guys. Hoping that he's all right. Again, you feel for him after such a good off season. Now doesn't appear to be able to put much weight on that as the punt is bobbled, but then caught. A fair catch by Gabe Luce. As we said, very good field position coming up for Wisconsin Lutheran, but you need a quick score here. Down 3 possessions, 7:26 to go in the fourth. And then after that, you might still need some help.
Ball spotted at the 45-yard line.
45 of the Lord's Tech.
Back to quarterback for the Warriors.
Wisconsin Lutheran coming off a 2-8 season. 0-5 on the road, and it was a slow start today that put them behind as that ball slips through the grasp. That time of Kevlon Griffin. Dangerous pass over the middle from the freshman Nick Yaki, who beat out Anthony Munoz in their preseason QB competition. Reportedly, it was a close battle, but the coaching staff really loved the work of number 11 in white, the Gig Harbor, Washington native, who's come a long way to play his college football. Although it's been a relatively rough first start on the road today. 17 of 35, they've gone to the air quite a bit, but the 2 interceptions have been big. This time they go play action. Yaki rolling, looking downfield. Has Gabe Luce on the sideline, inside the Blue Devil 20.
Really didn't get much pressure there. They did rush 5, but it was a weird rush 5. It was one of those ones where defensive ends kind of stay back, just in case we watch the running back. Yaki really didn't have much pressure on him there, able to complete that pass.
So that'll move the ball down to the 17. Big chunks like that, and certainly some help now. Under 7 is what this Wisconsin Lutheran offense needs. Yaki fumbled it. He'll have to shovel it. I think they're going to say he was down.
Yeah, doesn't need to be touched in the collegiate game. When he's down, he's down.
We've seen a few of those today, those mishandled snaps, which can be so big in an offense. Last week, I mentioned to you during the break, I rewatched that Nebraska-Colorado game that was magnificent a week ago, and just the matter of getting a clean snap from the center to QB really aided the Nebraska offense. Obviously, Colorado ultimately ended up coming back to win a special game at home, but that QB to center relationship, it's a youthful one, really for both sides, but a true freshman at QB for Wisconsin Lutheran. There was an offensive push-off.
I can't believe they didn't call that. That was one of the most obvious things I've ever seen.
Well, the fans campaigned for a penalty, but the refs don't call one.
That was an easy push-off.
Yeah.
We both saw it.
Questionable call there. Nonetheless, it'll be 3rd down. 3rd and 15. 4 down territory.
I think maybe even here you could start to bring some pressure, even though it's 3rd and 15. You know, this is 4-down territory. Maybe put some pressure on and make it 4th and 20 even. See what they do. They will rush 4.
Jackson out of the backfield with blocks set up. Gets a key block from the freshman Gavin Winter and finds his way to the 15 to make the 4th down attempt a bit more manageable. This should be 4th and 8.
Not a bad defensive play, almost in like one of those half prevent defenses. Not a full prevent where you're going to allow them to get 20, 25 yards of play, but you're where you're not going to let them get those big 40-yard, 50-yard plays. But you're probably also not going to tackle them for loss for the most part. Clock winding down now. 5.5 minutes left, down 3 scores.
You wonder if they take a shot at the end zone here. Time winding down. Receiver in motion is Diedrich. They just flip it out of the backfield. It's behind Jackson. And their chances of coming back have been severely diminished after that incompletion.
For sure. Questionable play call there. Questionable throw on 4th and 15 to throw it to the running back in the flat. There was 2 guys right in front of him. I don't think even if he would have caught that, there was any way he was going to be able to get that first down.
That puts 5:15 on the clock for Tyler Kolka in this offense. They had a 4-minute and 13-second drive that led to a field goal from Brad Gibson to close out the 3rd. This time at their own 15.
Saba, usually the back in this kind of situation, the power back just trying to get a few yards, but now they're going to bring in Tanner Foley, who's a little bit quicker, not as much power under him.
Foley with 145 yards on the ground today. Burst free again. Tack on 12 more to give him 157. Averaging 8.1 yards per carry on the ground. I think that average might have just gone up a bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. I think you got to keep giving it to Foley now. Under 5 minutes, up 3 scores. Play the odds, just run the ball. If you happen to get stopped on 3rd down, just punt it away. You're probably not going to score 3 touchdowns in under 5 minutes.
A prolific day on the ground, to say the least, for Tanner Foley. And the defensive line, the young defensive line, was a question mark for Wisconsin Lutheran coming into this one, and that has played out. Foley, who fumbled last week, was looking to bounce back. He has done that and more.
Clock management starting to come into play. They snapped that at 11 seconds left on the play clock. I'd really like to see it wait until it gets down to 2 seconds to drain that clock.
Play clock here could get it down under 4 minutes. Still 20 seconds left on that aforementioned play clock.
Really no need to line up this early. 15 now. And they snap it at 13.
This time Zotero through the tackles, able to shift his way for a gain of what looks like 10. Otero, we mentioned, had a splendid offseason, put in a ton of work with personal trainers. Expect to see a lot more carries out of him today, really throughout this season. That was his 6th carry, and he's up over 30 yards. So now all 3 backs within 60 yards. 30 yards.
I guess if you're going to get the first down, don't worry about the play clock. You're just so confident in them. These running backs have been absolute stars all game long, like you just said, their stats. It's been pretty impressive. Turning the play clock a little better here this time. Snap it at 6.
Now just hoping to finish this thing out without any mistakes as the frustration starts to get released a bit.
Game clock about to be under 3 minutes, so looks like just a couple first downs. Maybe one more first down will do it.
This will be 2nd and 7. Kolka once again to Foley. His vision has been impeccable today. Look at that nifty move. He'll find another first down.
Good move by Foley, understanding where he's at on the field. He was only about a foot or two away from that out-of-bounds line. Understood what they're trying to do right now, run that clock down, and tries to keep himself in bounds. He does just that. Clock's still running. Good play by Foley right there. Smart football.
He eclipses the 170 mark. And Chase, this has been fun to watch today. You don't see too many ground performances like this one.
For sure. The progression from the offensive line we're seeing from this week, from last week, is very impressive, not only in the run blocking game, but especially in the pass blocking game as well.
Our meeting with Coach Duvendek yesterday, Chase, you asked them about the mentality of the offensive line as Foley picking up where he left off, another first down gain. And what the focus on in terms of studying film would be this week. Do you focus on last year's? How much confidence do you take from last year's win over Wisconsin Lutheran? He said it's a new year, it's a new game, and they've kind of come out with the mentality of that. We saw it right away in the first half. So different from last year's game in terms of how they played it, and it showed on the scoreboard, getting up 24-0. But the offensive line, Chase, you asked Coach about the grade that Coach Duvendek would give his offensive line a week ago. He said they didn't really, we couldn't project the passing game. They did that. That established the running game and the passing game combined. Now it's led to a magnificent day on the ground from Tanner Foley.
Kyle Joe stopped in the backfield.
Seems like this back by committee is working pretty well for him. Obviously, Saba out with a knee injury that did not look good. We hope for the best for him. Hopefully he can get back as soon as possible. Under a minute to play now. Let the clock, we got a flag on the play.
Penalty flag.
And a timeout actually before the flag. Lawrence Tech, still 42 seconds left on the clock, 2nd and 11. I assume one more play, take about 3 to 4 seconds. Play clock will start. So we got one more play here.
Widows are hoping to go to the victory formation for the first time in 2019. Welcome back to LTSN. Tyler Kolka, this has to be a good feeling for him after last week.
No penalty on the play.
Good feeling all around. There was no penalty on that play. 31 first downs today for Lawrence Tech to Wisconsin Lutheran's 12. A couple of early passing touchdowns, but the ground game has really become the story. They like to establish the passing game with the ground game and the line of scrimmage. Jeff Duvendek couldn't be any more happy with this performance today as we wind down inside the final 30 seconds. The handshakes have commenced. Last year was the probationary season for Lawrence Tech football, stepping into competitive play and meaningful games for the first time this season. And they pick up what has to be a win that feels so good, unlike any other so far in this reboot campaign. Getting that true first win, a non-conference victory as they take down Wisconsin Lutheran 34-14. They'll travel to Olivet Nazarene next weekend. Then they'll be back at home for St. Francis, the final game of the month on September 28th. It was a pleasure to bring this one to you. Tanner Foley, the story of the day, 186 yards on the ground. 34-14, again, your final. For producer Kia Tyus, Chase Kaufman, Jenna Skalski, Chloe Godbold, Denver Rokon. I'm Jason Ross Jr. Have a wonderful rest of your college football Saturday afternoon.